Welcome to the Fully Human Psychology podcast with the Doctors Chris and Dr. Sophie, where we explore what it means to be and become fully experientially human. I'm Dr. Sophie. First, I should add that the opinions we share in this podcast are our own opinions and not those of any organization. You can follow us on Apple Podcast, on YouTube, Spotify, where you can leave message, comments, and opinions.
I'm Dr. Chris. Today's episode, we have a special guest. Dr. Vasilis Georgalakis is a psychiatrist and psychotherapist. He was born and raised in Athens, graduated from medical school, and he has specialized in pathology at the Naval Hospital of Crete and neurology and psychiatry at other organizations as well. He's received extensive psychotherapeutic training in a range of modalities, including cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness-based stress reduction, Schema Therapy. He's done specialized training for the treatment of OCD and other conditions. And he has trained at the Existential-Humanistic Institute in California in Existential-Humanistic Psychotherapy, which is where Dr. Sophie and I had the pleasure of meeting him. He's participated in a series of scientific publications and announcements in foreign and Greek journals. And he's a lead psychiatrist and also operates a private clinic. So he works also with 2 psychosocial rehabilitation structures and maintains a private practice. He's a member of the Medical Association of Athens, of the British Medical Association of the Hellenic Psychiatry Society, and an external member of the Hellenic Association for Existential Psychology. He is the author of the book, The Dance of Our Lives, which we're going to talk to him a lot about today. Welcome, Vasilis.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the invitation, Chris, Sophie, and I'm very glad that I am here with all of you. Yes, thank you very much for the invitation.
Welcome.
We're very glad too. So we do like to start off with asking all of our guests a question. And I know we have a lot of quotations from your book that we want to read to you and ask you about and ask you to expand on. But we want to ask you the question, what does it mean to you to be and to become fully human?
Yes, thank you for this question. It is simple sometimes and it's a very difficult question, but I will try to explore and to share my ideas, my thoughts. For me, I think that it is everything, and it is a lot of things, perhaps, like it is the love, it is the meaning, it is our authenticity, the presence, the connection with everyone, to be totally present in the situation with yourself and in relationships, to go deep. It is a combination of all of this. It is the liberation that of yourself, to meet your deeper life and to dance with your life, to celebrate the gift of life, to have the courage and the strength to be authentic and to go to the unknown. But first is to begin to fall in love. I think the love is very important. To love things, people, relationships, the moment, the here and now. I think that love for life, for ourselves, for our desires, for our past, for our present, and for our future, and for our creativity. All of this is fundamental for a better life and to feel fully human. I think that is the path for our happiness and to be fully humans. I think that the love is a powerful weapon that leads us to find our authenticity with the moment, just as a painter is in love with the moment when he is painting. Okay, all these things helps us to overcome all obstacles, pushing us toward authenticity. It leads us. I love with yourself, with your creation, with what you have in the now. And we try to feel the magic of it, allow it to be everything with you. And of course, to be liberate to everything, to accept yourself and the others, to dance in your life. And perhaps after I will explain more about the dance, to accept the life, to trust the process of life, and sometimes let the life and the process to guide you. I think all of this is to accept your past and your experience. All of them made you the person that you are now. Of course, we know that we can't change our past, and we can't know that what is coming in the future. And we have to stop to worry for a better past or to have a better future, but we have only our present moment. And this is, I think, the more crucial thing to be fully human, is to be present and connect with yourself and the others, with your emotions, the good and the bad emotions. And perhaps to dance not only with the good emotions and to dance with the bad emotions, to know better this, to stay together with your difficult parts of you, to accept them as friend who is coming to tell you something, to learn more something new, and to be open to everything that is coming inside and outside in your life. And this is the time that the connection with you, with yourself, and here we are together and we are sharing our ideas. It is the best feeling, I think, that we have. And we have to be grateful for this moment. We have only the here and now. And this is makes us to be fully human in the moment. And of course, everything around you are very precious and send you a message, and we can take it and open it. And of course, every fear is a sign of our liberation and of creativity. And in my personal life, after a long soul searching, after my experience, my trainings, and with a lot of fights with my dreads, I realized that when I feel stuck in something, when I'm afraid to go on or to follow something new, is the sign that something good there is. And there I think that I feel fully human. I have everything. This is, yes,
Yeah.
to feel authentic. Yes.
I have a follow-up question, unless Dr. Sophie, do you have a question?
Yes.
No, go ahead, Chris.
Okay. I wanted to ask, can you expand some more on what you feel like may hold us back sometimes from becoming fully human?
Yes. Yes. This is the difficult things that what blocks us. Okay, we know that it's very important to connect with everyone, to connect with yourself. But the connection has the inverse. We have the disconnection, I think, of our world, our desires, our hope, our misery, fears, makes us to disconnect from our world and from our liberation. And for a lot of people, can you imagine how many people they don't live, they avoid to live because they are afraid, their demons, their dreads, they are afraid to go to the unknown, to go on. This is that I like very much to share my thoughts, that this is the paradox of living, that we have to live with anxiety and with the joy together. This life is strange, but we have to accept it. to take the risk, to be curious, to have the strength to participate in something new, a new path to the unknown. And it's something bigger. But we understand that we need courage for it. And it is very difficult for everyone and needs a lot of work. It is a cultivation and an everyday effort to be present and to be present with your peers. It is not easy. And we know that when we use, as we use the presence, it is easier to meet your dreads and to discuss with them, to make friends with them. Yes, it is. I feel that, and for my experience in the EHI, it was a great experience for me to enjoy all of this, but to learn a lot of things about my difficult things, my difficult parts. Yes.
Something I really appreciated about your book, at least my impression of it, and I have a lot of sections tabbed here, was I felt like on one hand, you were encouraging us to listen to our deepest desires, our inspiration, and you also were very candid about how time is passing and we don't, and how we sometimes think we have more time than we do. And you're candid about that. And so listening to our deepest desires and passions, that they are there, that we may have to encounter some solitude in order to access them, which I was appreciative of. And I feel like that could be expanded on because, we talk about the loneliness epidemic, and also I see a lot of folks, on their screens so much that they never get to encounter any solitude. So that on the one hand, and then on the other hand, I really appreciated how you mentioned that you use several terms, but one is demons. That we have that
Yes.
we do have to welcome in these dreads, and make friends with them, understand them, also struggle with them. I appreciate that you emphasize some struggle and some effort. And I also really noticed, I could tell you're a very experienced clinician. And there were a lot of little moments where I could see the experience. And one of them was when you said things like, we need to try to do this, and it's not going to be easy. And I'll find some of the quotes, but there was moments where it's like, it seemed like you were saying we can orient ourselves toward this, and it may not be easy, and we can try, and we may fall back, we may take a step back, versus making a lot of you weren't making a lot of easy promises. Like if you just listen to your desires, it's going to be okay. And, just follow your truth. It was, try to, and it's going to be very difficult. And there's some serious effort that's needed. And so I saw your experience in there.
Yes.
And I wanted to share that. And
yes.
If I could, I want to read one passage here before.
Yes. Yes.
This is early on in the book, in your section on love for life. You say, if someone looks deep within into their solitude and finding their deepest inner world allows it to emerge, only then will they feel more certain about who they want to be. So, and then you expand on that and you add a lot of nuance as the book goes on, but I was really struck by that. I've never heard it put exactly that way. It's, we talk about loneliness and solitude, and maybe there's a difference between the two. And I do feel like solitude can be very terrifying for a lot of folks. But I like how you mentioned the other side of that. You can actually become more certain in who you really are. And that could also obviously bring some confidence and so even though solitude can be very scary, right, there can be this confidence that comes from the other side of it. Yeah.
Yes, yes. This is the difficult part. But I believe I will start for the first part of the question. But when we meet, or when we allow ourselves to find the meaning and the inspirations, can guide us to meet our loneliness. That is scary. We know this. We know it is not. It is one part that we're afraid. It is difficult, but I think that, and for my life, my personal life, and for my clients every day here, that when you find a meaning and when you let your inspiration to come and to feel it, you have powerful things to go on and to stay in loneliness. Because if you stay close to yourself, you see the difficult parts. You see the difficult parts of the loneliness, that your fears, your demons, everything, your dreads, yes. And this is how we use our presence that we have. And this is what prevents us to not be. This is the protection, to say, our obstacles, our demons, our dreads are always there, lurking to destroy us or to prevent us from our dance or from our authenticity to become fully human. Okay, we know that the inner critic, the rejection, the fear of failure, they are coming always when we are lonely, without anyone there. Think about how many obstacles you place in your own path and how many of them you accept just because this inner critic convinces you to be far with your character and experience.
Something I think you're helping orient us towards is that if I go into solitude, or if one can go into solitude knowing there's an opportunity to find my inspiration and who I really am.
Yes.
That's a different orientation versus solitude.
Yes.
Solitude meaning I just have nothing to do, or I have no one.
Yes.
You know? And because that's when someone could turn to, okay, I'm alone. That means I have nothing to do and I have no one. Now I might as well drink a lot of alcohol.
But this is the precious thing. Yes. Yeah. To be lonely. And this is the precious thing of our life, to be fully human. That we stay with our dreads and we let our meaning, the meaning of life, it is an important thing that makes you to be alive, to be fully human, I think. When I have meaning of life, I think that I can do everything. I feel a lot of joy, everything. And I think that I suggest to my clients to stay alone, to find their meaning, to find their inspiration, and to let them there and to follow the inspiration. And the inspiration is a gift to help. Like me, I had a great inspiration to write the book. I didn't believe that I would be a writer, that I would write a book, but I followed my inspiration. And when we are alone, we are meet these things.
And so,
yes.
Let me get back to what you're saying in going into that place, this inner world. In page 113, where you say the fire is dangerous only in our minds, not in our real life. And
yes,
in that going into the solitude, we get to experience that realization, that discovery that may be part of the fears, the imagination, some of the delusion, some of the things we were thinking was real, what was dangerous was not so much. And then some things settle, and we get to realize a little bit more what is real and what is not so much. And inspiration arises, and one might be then writing a book. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you for this, because it is something that I will share my thoughts about this that changed my life, and the EHI changed my life, about the presence. So it is something that we are coming to a significant point that prevents us for being present, for dancing. It's okay, our fears, our anxiety, our worries, our thoughts, and this is our true authenticity, but we avoid it. We postpone to live. So we must be present with them, not avoid them. Our inner fears are a gift for us. And the bad, the ugly, the unexpected, the joy and the sadness, the fear, when they came, they show us the dark sides of ourselves. Yes, I know it is very difficult to meet them, but we need a lot of work to accept these difficult aspects of ourselves, to embrace our fears and understand how much persistence and patience this requires. And sometimes I like this phrase, we have to remember what Frank said, that let's us to try to turn our suffering into triumph. So it is it is very difficult for someone to accept, to welcome, to explore, and to be with their inner fears in the present moment. I tried very hard with myself, and I try very hard every day with my clients. You carry them with you in your daily life as much as you can. And you learn to be present with them, even with the most difficult emotions. And in our training, in Existential-Humanistic Therapy, we have to go very deep. And this may require a lot of practice and time to reach inner freedom and to get used to our fears. It is like, yes, it is in the dark basement that I want to share this, because Kirk Snyder, you know, who is this, I don't have to say more about him. He's a very good friend and mentor of me. And one time that I had these dreads, I had my demons said to me about the old basement. We shared these thoughts about how we go there. So think that it's like going down into a dark old basement in the middle of the night. You don't know what you will encounter, what is there, or whether there are things that might scare you. Like me, I was afraid to go to my dark basement. You might think there are things that could make noise in your mind. It's very scary. So you avoid it and prolong it. You postpone this visit. But at some points, with everything, with your help, with your psychotherapist, with your trainings, with your experience, with everything, you find the courage to go. And when you turn on the light, you immediately say, oh, I see, it is just my old bicycle. And you've forgotten 3 old things. And this is not the terrifying, this is the important, Chris, that you asked me. This is not the terrifying image you imagined and thought was there. So this, I try to bring to my clients these images in our minds as scarier, more terrifying than when we experience them in reality.
I'd like to highlight something you're saying, if I could.
Yes.
Very important. So I want to read a quote from your book and then expand on what you said a little bit. So on page 65, you say, instead of endlessly battling our symptoms, trying to eradicate negative emotions without understanding their source, we should listen to what they are telling us. Every symptom carries a message. It comes as a gift, leading us to our dance. As Viktor Frankl says in Man's Search for Meaning, let us try to turn our suffering into triumph. What an uplifting phrase. Triumph lies in learning from a battle we feel we are losing and transforming it into knowledge, personal growth, and a love for life. So a few things I want to say about that. I'm in this reading group where we're reading Dante's Divine Comedy, and there's a therapist friend of mine, and we're reading it partially because Rollo May describes Virgil as the archetype for the therapist. And a big part of what he's doing in the hell section is he's going alongside as a fellow traveler with Dante into his hell. And as these figures and beings in hell come forth, he encourages Dante to interact with them and hear what they have to say. And then sometimes Virgil will shield Dante if it's going to be too much for him. But often he then encourages him to go forth again and try again. And I think it's really important here, this line, triumph lies in learning from a battle we feel we are losing. So it's the ones that we feel we are losing where the triumph happens. If we start from the beginning and we're winning from the beginning and we have no fear we're going to lose ever, that's one thing. And I think you say at another point that a life without struggle is not really much of a life. But when you talk about the well, let me pause there. There was more I wanted to say, but I really wanted to highlight that I think you add a lot of beauty and meaning to that word triumph, because it's like courage involves moving forward with fear, and triumph involves, a battle that you may come close to losing, and then it's transformed in the end. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This word gives me something, makes me to believe that we can overcome, we can manage everything. We know that this life is difficult. We know that we have to give a fight with our anxiety and with everything that, but we have to do a lot of work. We are planting seeds for the future, and knowing that try to change your sadness in the triumph, try to find the solutions, try to find something there, because it is coming from our personality, it's coming from our character. This is your own, you can't avoid it. You can transform your life. And of course, the more we stay with our difficult parts and connected with the fears and everything it is, we can explore them more. And after that, the bad images, the scary thoughts, the stressful thoughts, they change. This is not the same. We stay with them. Yes, believing that we will transform them.
Yeah.
Yes.
This reminds me of dream work, and I'll just share briefly that there's been many times for myself, and also including, I can say, I've worked with clients in therapy that have significant PTSD from military trauma, combat trauma. And
yes.
There's been a few cases where there were dreams, and we took a lot of safety precautions, and I don't do this with everybody, but there was a few cases where dreams were related to combat trauma. So there were images and things that were not exactly the same. And the differences between them and the actual combat scene were important. But to your point that oftentimes with dream work, initially a dream may just seem terrifying or just purely negative and destructive. And then in this process of going through the dream work, it actually turns out that this is actually an energy or a force or a figure or a being or a meaning that can actually give you more full humanness, more range.
Mm.
And I think dreams are a great dream work is a great example of what you're describing there when you mentioned going into the dark basement,
Mm.
because the dream can just seem cryptic or too mysterious or too much danger. And then it turns out, oh, this is a part of myself that I'm cut off from, but it doesn't exactly mean what I thought it meant when I was just rushing to put a label on it and run away from it. When I actually interacted with it, it turned out to be something completely different.
Mm.
So I think that's very important. And it's very easy to see there's so many ways we can avoid that process our whole lives. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
There was one more thing that really stood out to me from your book, because you also talk about grief and loss, and you talk about death. And one thing that stood out to me is first I want to highlight that when you say the dance of our lives, many might think that it sounds like maybe like a superficial statement. I think there's a lot of marketing type of things out there that sound really catchy and sound like a lot of self-help type of things that sound so lovely. I want to stress the depth of what you are talking about. You highlighted something of a deeper human lived experience in your book that I want to mention for those who are going to purchase your book and read through it, that when you talk about the dance of our lives, you're not talking about these themes in a superficial way. You are talking in sincerity, in a lot of depth. You're talking about all of these things in a genuine, sincere way. So with that said, now I also want to mention that then whatever arises from the depth of the basement, from the presence, what I hear a lot from you that is this liberation and a lot of words from joy. And however, you do talk about loss and grief and death and of people who are really dear to you. And also having lost people dear to me, I think it is a very difficult thing to do. Earlier, I mentioned a quote about these fears that all of a sudden we realize were a little bit more imagined. and in fact are kind of like smoke and mirrors, and not necessarily based on reality. But when we are experiencing something of a great loss, it doesn't feel like smoke and mirrors. They're very painful losses. And so, nonetheless, those are things that you discuss and you guide us through in your book to sit with a lot of love. And you talk about and you mentor us through how do we stay present with that deep pain, with this grief. And there is something that's revealed from that, of this gift that is given from this loss, from this death that is, presented in our life. So I really wanted to share that.
Yes.
It's so profound that I think it's important to, I wanted to highlight all of that for those listening.
There's a section. I'm
Yes.
really glad you brought up that. I mean, maybe Vasilis, can you expand some on, you think, the role
Yes.
of death and loss with what you're talking about in the dance? And
Yes. For me, it's very important, the role of death. It is crucial. I think it's the big fear of our existence. So the knowledge for our death, I think that saves us. We cannot choose how or when we will die, but we can choose how we will live our one and only life. The realization that we haven't lived our true life and how we want to live our life in the future, in a life we know will pass, gives us the strength to change it. So gives us the strength to visit our difficult parts and to dance with them and to be full human, to be authentic, to be present with it. I think that I believe very strongly that if you have a good life, you don't only fear death. The fear of death, or when you meet or you are close with it, for those who have some close to it, may be one of the most intense, profound experience of their lives. And it can ultimately free everyone. This leads us to reconcile with that we will die, to face our death with different eyes, no longer with fear, but with the deepest gratitude for life and what it has given us. It is a gift that we are living. It's a gift that we have this connection, that I am alive now with you. It's a gift for me. I'm very grateful that I live this. And every misfortune brings something. The message, I think that I try to remember, it's very hard, it's very difficult, but I try to remember the message is simple, that I am not immortal. And at any moment, I can be gone. If we accept it as a gift and not a loss, maybe we will decide our lives with courage and to remember to live authentic. And the sooner we understand, yes.
I wonder if existentially, maybe it can be a loss and a gift at the same time. Like,
yes.
Because kind of that dialectic of the gift of loss. And this, I mean, I've had some very wrenching losses, that something, your book really spoke to me about it because it really resonated with when you started talking about that. But, something, for example, my father's death, which I got to be with him throughout the process with the hospice and everything. And I've never felt more present and attuned to myself and other human beings. And I also noticed more clearly when I have a need to dissociate some, or when I have a need for just kind of a more passive, easy pleasure, whether it's the TV or the whatever. But it was more of a discerning choice. Like I could almost say, okay, I've been feeling these intense, very present feelings, this aliveness that I'm very grateful for.
Mm.
And it was simultaneously, I would prefer he didn't die, and I have sadness, and yet at the same time I'm grateful for this process. And then also I can choose to step out of it and not think about it for a while and kind of distract myself, versus maybe sometimes before, if I'm avoiding that poignancy, maybe I'm just distracting myself automatically too much, like it's like I couldn't avoid the feeling,
Yes.
and I didn't want to avoid the feeling. And I guess I had enough preparation and kind of training and therapy and a lot of mindfulness and art making. I mean, I had a lot of preparation in my life for him passing. I was kind of ready. I think if that had happened when I was in my middle teens, it would have been a very different story. I wouldn't have been as prepared. It would have been, I don't know how I would have responded, but you write in here, I want to read this. As with anxiety, so too the realization of death, this giant of our existence, can liberate us. It can show us the path we want to follow, to live better by finding what we want. The death of a loved one is a gift, a message that our turn will come, that death has knocked on our door as well. Let us open it. Let us accept it, if you will, this gift, the awareness that our turn will come, and let us live as we would like, dancing passionately and lovingly through our life. I don't think there is a more motivating remedy for living our life freely and meaningfully than the full realization that we will die. It shatters all the demons and obstacles we place for our unreal existence. Then you say later, so prepare your death as you prepare, or better yet, as you take care of your life. For me, the cure for all this is to be able to dance my dance of life, listening to the music that comes from our soul.
Yes.
Yes.
This is, yes, I add this, that celebrate your death by celebrating your life. I wrote this segment because 5 years ago, I lost my mother. It was very difficult for me. 1 week before she died, said to my phone that, okay, Vasilis, okay, I'm okay. Don't be anxious about me, about everything. I was very anxious as a doctor to do this, to do that. And she said to me that, take care of yourself. Be yourself and take care of yourself. I remember in the phone that, take care of yourself, because I was very tired. Yes. And I said to her that, okay, I will come to see you. So after 1 week, died. I had a lot of guilties about it. Because perhaps as a doctor, I feel some kind of God that I can save everyone, and why I didn't do this, that, but in the process, and after my training in Existential-Humanistic Institute, I saw that this is, my mother gave me a gift, that I didn't believe that the death will come in our house. You avoid to think this. You know that there is there to everyone, but not in your house. When it's coming in your house, so you realize that, okay, this I said before that you are not immortal. So my mother, I took the message that take care of yourself. You will not be alive for years and years. You don't know the future. So I think that my mother gave me a message, and that I have to live authentic and to be present with everything, and to live my life with passion, with dance, with all of this that I described in my book. And when sometimes I feel this passion, this inspiration, this meaning that leads me to a high level, I don't afraid my death. I don't afraid I will die. So for me, and I ask you and Sophie, if you have lived your dance to the fullest, you will come to a moment where you will say, saving lived this through this, I don't care if I die. I'm not afraid my death. And how many times have we reached the peak of our wonderful moment where we felt happiness? This happiness flooding in our body, feeling that nothing scares us, and even death seems insignificant at the moment. In the last year, I felt a lot of things. I felt the awe of the moment. I felt that I live very full. So I don't afraid if I die right now. I don't afraid if after that I'm very full of this. And I mean it. It's coming from my very deep inside of me.
Yes.
And this is, I owe this to my mother. It was my message. After 3 years, my father died. But the message was from my mother that take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Love people. Okay, be kind. Be yourself. And try to dance. Try to enjoy the gift of our life. Try to enjoy, to not remember. It is difficult. I know, I say again that it's very difficult to remember. This is our mechanical way of living that we are running. Myself again, the same, but it is difficult. It's an ongoing process, an ongoing effort to remember that we will die, and so we have to dance in our life. To be authentic, to not afraid to be authentic. This is, because all we are afraid to be authentic, because we have our dreads. But why to be afraid to be authentic?
Yeah. You mentioned
To show
that sometimes we're afraid that, or sometimes we think that failure is the worst outcome. And you have a section in there where you talk about how maybe it is not the worst outcome. And also you mentioned, I think that many parents, what they want most is for their children to be happy, right? Or to be, and I've known, folks that were kind of ready to die, but they hang on. Sometimes they'll hang on if they think there's something going wrong with their kid. If they think something's going wrong with their son or daughter, they might hang on to life to try to see that, to try to know that they're going to be okay before they let go, so they might be ready to pass, but sometimes they hang on, to try to know. And so maybe it is a gift we can give our parents, is to dance our lives so that their soul, if they're passed, there's a prayer that sometimes I say that I say the prayer 3 times, and the first time I say it is for the sake of the welfare of the souls of my parents. So my father has passed and my mother has not yet passed, but when I think of what is my aim in life, part of my aim is for the welfare of their souls. So that not necessarily every aspect of their personality, not necessarily for all of their opinions or for all of their values or their whatever, but their spirits, maybe their dance, their actual.
Yeah, their spirit and their dance lives
Yeah.
inside us.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can honor that by finding our dance.
Yes, and we are very grateful that
Yeah.
we realize this right now. We are very grateful to realize that they are living inside us.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we continue our life and our authenticity.
Yeah. Mm.
Okay. I know this is,
But what do you
yes,
think? There's so much in here. It's a powerful. There's one section where you ask us a question. Well, you ask many good questions in here, which I appreciate. You don't only have answers, you also have questions. I'm going to see if I can find it. Well, you talk about being ready to recognize inspiration and to accept it, which I appreciated. Again, I mean, I really think that, and I work with some, not only young folks, but I think of them right now, but I work with some young folks who are so plugged in online all the time. But sometimes I think that it's hard for them to find their deepest inspiration, even though they have them. Like they like playing music, or they like they're politically engaged and have strong opinions, but they end up with pornography and video games and social media
for them.
24/7. And how can you be ready to stop and listen to that inspiration and then act accordingly, and what comes in to block you? And I think your book has a lot to offer with that. How you can miss finding your dance.
Yes. But yes, again, I say that it is not easy. I remember myself that I trust my inspiration with a lot of effort and with a lot of training.
Yes.
And I think that, yes, I did a lot of training. I think that now I'm thinking that I always seeking my liberation with the psychotherapy training I did about schema therapy, about coping, but I found my liberation in Existential-Humanistic Institute, in Existential-Humanistic training. This made me to find my deep liberation and to trust my inspiration. And to first to let my inspiration to come and to see this inspiration, that I have the inspiration to write a book. Okay, so I have to let myself to write, to see what is coming, in my thoughts, in my brain, and to not be critical about it. And I started jotting down a few thoughts on paper without any intention of writing a book. This was something that I did an effort at a lot of training. Yes, of course. But I allowed myself to write freely, without restriction, without judgment, without expectation. I didn't have expectation. I started writing non-stop. And I didn't believe to myself that I had this inspiration. And at the same time, I had the meaning. I had the meaning of life, that I have to write something for everyone. And I was thinking that one of my clients, if it finds my book help, it is it is my gift.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
in the meantime, I discovered a different side of myself, trusting whatever came to me and refusing to listen to any thought, to the critical, my inner critical mind, everything.
Are
For
you
me, it
able
was
to
impossible. Yes.
are you able to share some about well, first, let me read this passage, and then I want to ask you a follow-up question from that. So on page 52, you say, we stop running when at some point an external factor appears against our will, like a sudden illness. We never do it on our own. We never take on the responsibility and the courage to set our limits and find our presence in the moment. We give the responsibility to others, so we have someone to blame if we fail. And that's because we see failure as the worst possible outcome instead of a gift of maturation and improvement of our personality. Then later on you say, but here's the real question. Why do we wait for something or someone else to force us into these moments of self-reflection? Why don't we choose on our own to slow down, reconnect with ourselves, and listen to what we truly need? Is it fear of making the wrong decision, fear of failure? Do we let others dictate our lives because we're too scared to take responsibility for our choices? But I was thinking in there when if we just use an example of, let's just say someone in their early 20s who has some intellectual interests and some artistic interests, but they spend a lot of time porn, video games, social media, kind of depressed. And there's some limits that need to be set. There's some presence in what needs to happen, right? In presence in both the inspiration, the deeper inspiration, and also presence in interacting with the demons. But the choice is being made in a way by the pornographer, by the social media oligarch, whatever we want to say, or the whatever the other example I gave, that's kind of dictating this person's choices. So the failure to fulfill my destiny could in a way be blamed on the pornography or the social media or the video games, because that's what's controlling my choices in that moment. And yet you're calling for something very different here. You're asking us.
Yes, I know.
Why are we waiting?
I know.
Yes, please. Yeah.
Because I think that if you have a client that is playing 24 hours games, okay, it is something, an obsessive thing for him. I believe that behind of this, that it is his fear to live his life authentically. Behind of this, he doesn't know. So he let himself to play and to avoid to see his life, his deep life, for his destiny, his desires, because he is afraid. And this is that I believe, I strongly believe in the clients that are suffering from obsessive compulsive disorder, that they have a meaning for them because they are afraid to find their own meaning, who is whatever. So they let themselves to play, to do things, to do obsessions, to do compulsions, and have the meaning. But behind of that is the fear of life. To live freely, to dance their life. This is my opinion.
Yeah.
It is a gap inside. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They have the meaning to do this, and beside of this, they have a lack of meaning.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know I want to check in with Sophie too, because I know you're thinking and you were looking up something. How are you resonating with this? How are you?
Well, some thoughts come to mind for me around greater context, around societal context. And I think there's a lot to say around culture and how we as we mentor folks of various generations. Actually, I'm not really sure when was the last generation that was mentored in our culture in United States or in Europe. When was the last generation that was mentored to take responsibility to co-create with life? When was the last generation when they had elders that helped them to interact with life, where they knew that part of their responsibility at a certain ages was to have an active relationship and an interaction to check in on a daily basis with themselves, internally and externally, and to be engaged. And it was something that they had to be engaged with moving forward. So with that said, I'm not surprised that when we have young ones experiencing concerns about what to do and how to engage with life. In fact, we have generations who have not been mentored how to do that. So it makes sense to me that they do feel lost themselves, because there's been countless of generations who have felt that way. So they just feel like a generational kind of phenomenon. So
like rendered passive, kind of.
Yeah. So I just that's what comes to mind for me in the last few minutes as talking about this. So yeah, there's something around that. Yeah.
Yes, I understand. Perhaps their mentors are the internet, the websites, their mentors, and we grow up and we try to find our mentors, and we found a lot of inspirations.
Who have been your mentors?
Yeah, good question.
My mentors.
And continue to be.
Yeah, yes, I think that Kirk Snyder is something that changed my life. With not only Captain Kirk, yes, I know his history. And this is not only my mentor, it's my friend, because we share our inspirations about the Zorba, the Greek Zorba from Kazantzakis. Kazantzakis was a great author in Greece, from Crete. So, and we visit a lot of times his museum in Crete. So I think that we share the same thoughts with him. And always I learn things about him and about, yes, I had one week ago a presentation with him, and I said to him that, okay, Kirk, you know that I am stressed for a while. And he said to me that you are not alone. This is, yes, you see that with one phrase, with 3 words, makes you to be easy, to let yourself to be authentic. And yes, you are not alone. And I think that we are not alone in our struggle to live, to dance our life. We are not alone. Everyone tries, I think. This.
You didn't tell me you were stressed at that
Yes,
presentation, by
you
the
didn't
way.
tell me yet. Okay, I will share now that we had a good, very excellent presentation with Sophie, Dr. Sophie, and Kirk in Croatia. So yes, I said with him after the presentation that I was a bit stressed, and he said to me that I'm not alone. It is something that normal.
Yeah.
And yeah,
We are in
yes.
this soup. We're in this soup together.
Mm.
Yeah. I know. Well, I want to do a time check. How much time do you have? Have a little bit.
I think we probably are coming to an end.
Okay. Yeah. There's many more questions I know we wanted to ask. We might have to do this again, but I guess maybe in closing, is there anything, about your book and that we didn't touch on? Is there any nugget that you feel like you should kind of put out there?
Yes, thank you. I think that I will share my feeling, my message that I give to my clients, that we must not forget how we want to live our lives, how important our loves are, the moments, and let's be grateful that we live, that we have all of this in our lives, and we live this moment together, this beautiful connection between us. I'm very grateful that I'm speaking with you. I received all this inspiration, and today I have inspiration, and I let myself from this moment. I'm grateful for what I have, that I live, and of course, we have to remember that we have to turn our misery into triumph. We have to find changes and the ability to find our own freedom, our dance, our vitality, our love in everything. And even when the things around are dead. Yes. And we know that we live a life that runs very fast. And we too, let's stop for a moment in the present and enjoy this moment between us, as if it's the last. And this moment will never come again. So let's live our lives with courage, and let's not live for tomorrow. And perhaps we can find our passions, to find a more magical life, a life full of meaning. And of course, you will encounter the awe of your life. I'm sure about it. Thank you very much. I appreciate about. Yes.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
I appreciate. Yes, it's coming from my heart. It's coming from the Cretan people. It's coming from the Zorba, that he was dancing his life and he was celebrating his life and his death. Yes. Thank you very much. I appreciate my connection with all of you.